So first of all, there's of course the blast effects, the intense heat, the fire, which are more immediate and very devastating impacts of nuclear weapons. But what makes nuclear weapons qualitatively more destructive than conventional weapons is, of course, the release of ionizing radiation, which can linger on for very, very long in different locations, depending on where it's used and the geographic conditions of that area. And so, you know, these impacts make nuclear weapons just so much more destructive. And because we've had very limited use of nuclear weapons in conflict, just Hiroshima and Nagasaki, there's not that much source data to really rely on to be able to quantify the impacts of nuclear weapons. So Putin, Russia, much like the United States, has a wide array of nuclear weapons. I can't begin to go into listing the different types, but there's an easier way to convey the range of options he has. So Russia has a nuclear triad, which essentially means land-based, sea-based, and air-based means of delivering nuclear weapons. And within the context of Europe, the most threatening of these are, of course, the land and air-based nuclear weapons, in the sense that they have cruise missiles that can be adapted to carry both conventional and nuclear payloads. The case of Ukraine certainly brings the question of nuclear weapons possession back into the spotlight. This is something that hasn't really been spoken about in popular discourse with regards to established nuclear weapons possession, nuclear weapons powers possession of their capabilities. We only ever hear about potential nuclear weapons when we're talking about Iran, which is very, very far from ever developing that capability, or when there is some limited conflict between India and Pakistan, or when China expanded its ICBM silos last year. But we never really hear about the problems of nuclear weapons themselves in the hands of the US or France or the UK or Russia. It's usually when it's not non-Western states. Now, I think this conflict in Ukraine has changed that discourse ever so slightly, in the sense that for the first time in perhaps 2 decades, a lot of nuclear disarmament activist organizations are able to tangibly say that a conflict in the West has been instantiated on the back of nuclear deterrence.